Okay, so you've got a WordPress website and you're not sure how to secure it against hackers. And while there's no solution that can 100% guarantee that your website's not going to get hacked or get some kind of malware on it, there are a few steps you can take that will severely decrease the chances of that happening. So what we're going to do in this video, I'm going to show you how to use a simple plugin called iThemes Security, as well as a few other little tips and tweaks to get your website hardened for security, so you get a far lower chance of your website getting hacked or basically crashing. So my name is Wade McMaster. I'm a web designer, blogger, internet marketer. I'm here to help you get your business online, get a website, reaching more people and making more money. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump on the computer and we're going to basically go from there. But before we do get started, I do highly recommend that you back up your website or keep regular backups to your website, because if anything does happen, you do at least have that backup. If you happen to back up like one day and then your website gets hacked or crashes 2 or 3 days later, if you can't recover it, at least you have the backup to put up there and roll back a few days. So that's, there's a tool I recommend called BackupBuddy, or maybe your hosting has a backup software with it. Either way, I've got a link to BackupBuddy below, which is an affiliate link I do make a commission from if you do buy, but I use it for all my websites to back up and keep them secure. But for now, we're going to jump into the computer and we're going to basically get iThemes Security installed. I'm going to show you step by step all the settings I use to help increase security on all the websites that I build. Okay, let's get started.
Okay, so we're on the computer now on the back end of this website. If you've been following any of these videos in my video series, you'll know that we've just built this website recently and we're just slowly putting the pieces together. Now this is about as raw and beginner as it gets. There's nothing really on here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you exactly what I do to set up iThemes Security to secure the website. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to go to plugins over here and we're going to go to add new. I'm going to click that. And then we're going to search for iThemes Security. You see, this is what we're looking for here, iThemes Security. I'm just going to click install now. And I'm going to activate it. And we've got iThemes Security here. So the first thing I'm going to do is, now you see this little tab here down the left called Security. So I'm going to click on that here, and it's going to take us to the main security page. We're going to get presented with this security check. So I'm just going to click this secure site, because what it'll do, it'll actually activate all the settings that are least likely to give you any troubles with your website. So I'll click secure site and it'll go through and do a security check and update a few bits and pieces. So this is just like a Gmail address I've got it blurred out here, but you can set it up so that you receive, you can activate your network brute force protection, things like that. So that way, if anyone's trying to just log into your website, like with a heap of combinations of usernames and passwords, it'll stop that from happening. So I'm just going to click close on that. Okay, now we're in. So we're presented with a whole series of options here. Now, a lot of these are going to be turned on, but I do want you just to go through and check these, so that way you know that you're not skipping over something because something hasn't changed or just not happened. So first thing we'll look at is 404 protection. I do want to enable 404 protection because it just stops people from trying to find funny pages on your website and trying to find a vulnerability so they can log in. You can go in and check the settings, but generally speaking, I leave the default settings there. If you want to go through and check it, that's fine. But otherwise, we're just going to save those. The other one is banned users. Now that's already enabled, and there's a few settings here we're going to go into. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to enable the hackrepair.com's blacklist feature, because obviously there's a bunch of people out there who have already been blacklisted for suspicious activity, so we may as well go ahead and just enable that, so that way they're not going to be able to access our site. So we've got that up there set up now. I'm just going to save these settings. Now I do have a list. I do have a WordPress. I do have a blog post on this if you do want to come back and actually have these listed, so you can actually print this out and go from there. The other one is you do want to enable database backups. As you can see here, this is already enabled, but you can go in there and you can choose to back up the full database, send an email, or you can save it locally. I generally just go by email, and that way it emails the admin email a copy of the database regularly. And that's just handy because if your website goes down, at least you can restore your database. But if you want, I do recommend still going for the BackupBuddy option or something like that, because it actually backs up your full website, including files, that sort of thing. So we'll save those settings. Next one we're going to look at system tweaks. So these are the more sort of advanced tweaks. Now, one thing I will say before you go ahead and change any of these from here on, there is a possibility that something could go wrong. Like I said, you want that backup. So I'm going to enable system tweaks. I'm going to go and configure settings. Now, I generally go through and tick the majority of these. So I pretty much go through and tick protect system files. I try to turn on as many of these as possible. If you have any plugins that will create any strange URLs, you might not want to turn this one on. But generally speaking, it's pretty safe just to turn the majority of these on. And if you have any issues, you can go in and turn them back off. But these here, I'm not 100% sure about whether you want to turn them on or off. I generally turn them on and haven't had any issues, but I would recommend doing a bit of research or testing. But it's always good to have as many security measures in place as possible. So I'm going to save those. All right, and we're going to now look at WordPress tweaks. So these are actually already turned on. So I'm going to actually open that one up. Now again, this is another one where I simply go in and I activate the majority of these, pretty much all of them. Disable login error messages. This can be handy if someone's trying to hack into your website, like an actual person. They're not going to know what error they're being faced with. So this can be handy if you do want that to happen. I generally turn that on, but it means if you have an incorrect password or you have a cookie problem, you're not going to know which, because you're not going to get the error message when you try to log in. You do want users to have a unique nickname, and you do want to turn some of these other bits and pieces on, just because these are all just little bits and pieces that will help make your website more secure. The unique nickname is another way of stopping people from guessing your username and actually logging in with it. So I'm going to save those settings. So the next one is WordPress Salts. So this is just a little bit of code inside in your website that it makes it more difficult for people to basically learn the password of your WordPress site, because of the way it's stored, and it's got like a certain encryption. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to turn this, but what happens is quite often when you actually turn this one on and save it, you actually get logged out of your website. So you will have to log back in. So I'll save those settings. You can see here, I've just been logged out. So I'll just log back in again with my credentials. As you can see, they're also blurred out. And we're back into our website. So I'm going to go back into the security tab here. The next one is a bit different. We're going to go to advanced over here. And what we're going to do, we're actually going to change the database prefix. You probably have no idea what that means. But basically, WordPress has a database which in all the tables have this WP underscore at the start. Now this is just, it's one of those common things that people know of, and if they know of it, they can generally try and find a way to exploit it. So what we do, we actually click yes from this drop down, and we're going to save this. Now if your website's been up and running for a while, it might be dangerous to actually do this. If you've got a fresh website and you haven't started putting a lot of information on it yet, you could probably go ahead and do this one, but it could be risky. So, but I'm going to turn it on because I generally set this up whenever I create a new website. So just save that. All right, so what we're going to do, we're actually going to protect against brute force attacks. Now, brute force attack is when someone, or like a hacker or a bot or something, is trying to just log into your WordPress website by trying unlimited combinations of usernames and passwords so that they can gain access and do whatever it is they need to do. Okay, so one way that I protect against this is to actually change, it's called hide backend. There's a section here called hide backend. And what I do is I click on configure settings, and then I enable this feature. And what it does is it changes the default WordPress login, which is usually wp-login.php, to whatever you want it to be. So for this one, I'll call it, say, late entry, something like that. And that means that my website address will now change, and it'll be harder to find my login page. So first of all, we've removed the default ability to just simply track down our login page to start trying to log in. So I'm going to save that setting. And you can see it's now been updated. And one of the first things I do is I save a copy of this, although it does get emailed to you. I save a copy of this in a text file, which I have off to the side here, and we're done there. And the next one is, well, first of all, you want to make sure that you're not using the admin. You don't want your username to be admin. There is a way you can change it on here, but because my username isn't admin, I can't actually show you how to change it. But if you have this software, you can find an area there which will show you how to change your username from admin to something which is a lot harder to guess. You don't want to choose an email address. You want to choose something completely unique that's going to be hard to find. So the other one is we want to make sure we have strong passwords. So there is a section in here where we can actually activate strong passwords. Yeah, enable strong password enforcement. So that's already enabled, luckily, from the secure site, but it's just good to know that that's there. And you do want that for pretty much anyone above an editor, I would say is safe. That way, if someone does try to guess your password, it's not going to be simple and easy to remember. Now, that's pretty much everything that I set up. You can go through, you can check all these settings, see if there's anything else that you want to change. This is there's another one here, admin user. You can choose to do that, and it will log you out. Just adds another level of security to your admin user. Other than that, I actually have WordPress. I actually have iThemes Security Pro on a lot of my websites, which has what's called two-factor authentication, which means when I go to log in, it actually sends me an email, and I can log into my email, get a code, and I have to enter a verification code to enter. And I can also set this up so that I have an app on my phone, many other sort of options. Now that's probably one of the best ways to protect against a brute force attack. One thing I do want to also mention before we finish up with this video, because you can see it's quite simple, quite quick to get this set up. If you want to update WordPress, you need to try and update it regularly, because that's how people find holes in software and actually log in. Once a month, maybe even once a week, whatever. You can go up here to your dashboard, to updates. And you do want to go through, usually there's tables here showing you what needs to be updated. You want to get those bits and pieces updated as you go. You can see everything here is up to date, so we're fine. But it's just a good way of keeping yourself that extra bit secure. Now, one other final thing that I will show you is under your users. So I'm going to all users here. This is me here. You can see I've blurred out my username because I don't want anyone to know, so they can log in and do what they need to do. But underneath, I actually have a few different things here, and I have my name displayed publicly as not anything but my username. You can see the username is blurred out again. If you have just a username and no information in here, it's easy for people to actually discover your username through comments, that sort of thing. So I do highly recommend filling these out and choosing a different name to display publicly. That's just another tip for you. Other than that, there's a few other bits and pieces. Signing up for a SSL certificate is going to be, so you get the HTTPS at the top of your website. So getting that set up with your host is going to be another way to try and make your website more secure. And on top of that, actually quality hosting. I generally recommend HostGator. There's actually I'll put an affiliate link up here for that. Once again, I do make commission if you buy that, but that's the host that I use for all my websites. If you do find that you're getting heavily trafficked and you're starting to grow aggressively, I would also recommend switching to WP Engine, that sort of thing. So that's pretty much how I set up security on the majority of my sites. Sometimes I do a little extra here and there depending on the site, but that is I've made close to 100 websites in the last few years, and I've got that set up on all of them, and none of them have had any issues with being hacked. So I hope you found that useful, and once again, there's a link below if you want to actually see this written up. I've got a written post that you can refer to so you can actually go through and do this yourself, and go from there. So thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing. This is Wade McMaster. Thank you for watching. See ya.